Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 54.
Congratulations, you showed up. Give yourself a high five in celebration of your success. Welcome to the Cashflow Diary, where new and experienced investors come to take confident action towards their goals. Your host is a family man, a real estate entrepreneur, investor, coach, and instructor. As a master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's Cashflow 101 game, he's inspired many to begin their journey into creating cash flow for themselves and their family. And now, here he is to offer you the tools required to earn the income desired. Your cash flow coach, Jay Massey.
All right, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I am here excited to share with you yet again another amazing entrepreneur who has the ability to create cash flow in various different ways. And that's one of the things that I want to underscore for this particular episode. Many times you think you have to do something. You have to be overly genius just to come up with a way to serve the general public. And what it comes down to is oftentimes some of the best ideas are right in front of you. And more importantly, they're born from pain and or frustration. And what it comes down to is you and I have the ability to think about solving problems. And that's what we as entrepreneurs get the privilege of doing. Then we have to learn how to create a business around that solution and be able to protect it, to be able to grow it, be able to distribute it to so many different people. And as soon as we figure all those things out, you never know, we might be able to create cash flow for ourselves. Again, welcome. If this is the first time that you have joined us, make sure you go over to learninvestingnow.com. For those of you who are interested in the idea of being able to create cash flow with some real estate, obviously we have some resources there for you. Feel free to take advantage of them. For those of you who think you're like, you know what, I don't want to learn, I just want to do it, go over to begininvestingnow.com. And we've got, again, a number of properties sitting there waiting for you to be able to go ahead and start your journey into cash flow when it comes down to real estate. I'm excited for just the fact that you are listening and that more and more people continue to listen. But most importantly, I think the individual that you're going to hear from today will be able to share things with you in a completely different way that you might not have considered. I know for me, it was a new consideration to be able to consider how to distribute information in such a way as to help individuals. And we have one of, dare I say, ladies and gentlemen, the masters of being able to figure out how to distribute information, how to make sure that your message can get out there, and giving us introductions and understandings of a platform that is absolutely, literally taking the world by storm. More importantly than that, he is absolutely a giver because he has the heart that desires to share with people everything that's going on so that they can go out there and build their own streams of cash flow. But if you don't know already, because you weren't looking at the show title, I want you to welcome the entrepreneur on fire himself, Mr. John Lee Dumas. John, how are you?
Jay, I am so excited to be here. The audio is great. The content's going to be phenomenal. Let's burn this house down.
I like the way you get started, my friend. One of the things that I always like to know, because when it comes down to becoming an entrepreneur, oftentimes we don't just wake up and say, ooh, I'm going to start a business. Sometimes we all have what I call our origin story. It's like, you know, when you think about Superman or any of the superheroes from Marvel or DC, they all have an origin story, how they came to be. So for those few people who may not have known your name before, do us a favor. Tell us, how did John Lee Dumas come to be the master podcaster that he is today?
Wow, honored. And we have so much great content to share today, Jay, that I'm not going to do a deep dive, but the real quick rundown. I'm just a country boy from the state of Maine. Spent the first 18 years of my life there. Went to college on an Army scholarship. Graduated, was commissioned in 2002 as an officer in the U.S. Army, which was the first class of officers that were commissioned post 9/11. So we knew it was real deal Holyfield time. And sure enough, I spent 13 months in Iraq and the following of my 8-year commitment to the Army as an officer as well. And then after that, I was just in the civilian world. I was like, what do I do now? I tried law school. I hated it. I flamed out. I quit. I tried corporate finance, which was great for a couple of years, But again, it wasn't a passion of mine, so I left corporate finance. And same thing with commercial and residential real estate. That was actually the last career I had right before the launch of Entrepreneur on Fire a couple years ago. I was just stuck in traffic, Jay, listening to podcasts. It was the only thing that kept me going, hearing people like yourself, that were just sharing great content for free. And it was amazing. And I loved it. But guess what? I was running out of content because I was listening to it every single day, going to the gym, listening to more. And most podcast hosts were releasing once a week. I had my aha moment. Where's that 7-day-a-week podcast? I decided to fill that void myself. September 22nd, 2012, Entrepreneur on Fire was born. 500 plus episodes later, here we are still releasing an episode a day. We were awarded Best in iTunes 2013, which was quite an honor. And we just have a blast, Jay, sharing with our audience the journey of inspiring successful entrepreneurs. And I don't see it stopping anytime soon.
Indeed not. You can't put out a fire without a fire this big without a really big bucket of water, and I don't see one coming your way anytime
I live next
soon.
to the Pacific Ocean, Jay, and that is not enough water to put this flame out.
There it is. There it is. Well, that's interesting. You were at Maine, so you tried the Atlantic Ocean. Now you like the Pacific Ocean. I'm with you there because we're over here on the West Coast too.
Mission Viejo.
Yes, indeed. I love it. It's a great place to be. Love the weather right now. Love the weather all the time. And some of the things I first of all, before I even go any further, I need to personally thank you for your service because without individuals like yourself who are willing to go out there, defend and fight and lay down and even risk what you risk so that we could have a shot at being entrepreneurs and protecting our intellectual properties and doing these things. I mean, that's one of the things that gets under my skin is that so many people want to be an entrepreneur but aren't willing to do what it takes to become one. And here you are, as service people or servicemen are out there protecting that right. And many of us won't even go out there to get it done in the first place. And you did it. And I appreciate your service in that way. I come from a military family, if you're probably wondering where all that comes from, but I've had many of my own family members and relatives deployed. Some are currently, still in the Air Force and the Army and all these other things. I just wanted to say thank you very much for making sure that you did that part.
Well, Jay, I appreciate your appreciation, and I will say not a day goes by that I don't look out at the view that I have here at the Pacific Ocean as I'm chatting with people like yourself and just having a blast building a business off of my passions, that I don't think of the men and women right now that are currently around the world protecting my ability to do this as I did in the past as well. So I definitely want to give a shout out and thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I appreciate it. And to every listener who's in that situation, either family, and it's not just the person that's deployed, it's also the family that's behind. I say thank you for all of your service as well. Now, something interesting to me that you just shared is you said just before Entrepreneur on Fire, you were leaving the commercial and residential real estate arena. I'm like, well, that's just the place to be, because that's obviously that's where I've made my home. Sure. And it's cash flow. It's all these things. Now, I'm kind of curious. What did you see inside of what you're doing now that maybe is similar to the real estate world, or that was superior to the real estate world that you love?
Well, I would never say anything is superior or really inferior. I think I really am a big believer, Jay, that we are all very unique individuals, and we all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. We all know what resonates with us. And to be honest with you, if I was born 20 years earlier and in my life had just led the exact same path, I would still very happily be in a commercial real estate firm. I was recruited to be in the top commercial real estate firm in the state of Maine. I was on partnership track. Things were definitely going well in every single arena. And again, if my options were what they would have been 20 years ago, which was much more limited than the world that we live in now, this world of this incredible online arena, I would have had an amazing career. I would have enjoyed it. It was something I did for 4 years and really enjoyed on a lot of levels. But I just knew that there was something more out there for me that was really going to resonate even more with me than that arena of real estate. And again, it was good to me. It treated me well. It's something I'll always be glad that I have the expertise in. I own properties. I have that cash flow from them, and I will always be looking to invest my savings into real estate. I love that arena, but I just knew that I really wanted to create something different. I wanted to have a voice that was going to be heard around the world, and with Entrepreneur on Fire, I've been able to do that. And I've brought on plenty of real estate people on my show, but it's not just limited to that. Like, I love bringing on the Seth Godins, the Gary Vaynerchuks, the Tim Ferrisses of the world to share their journey, and that's what resonates with me, and that's really what I wanted to build here in 2012 and beyond, which is when I launched Entrepreneur on Fire.
Excellent, and that speaks more to what we've always talked about when it comes to your created intent. And at the end of the day, for some of us, like myself, and maybe for you, real estate is where you can best shine.
Oh, yeah.
And what's awesome is that you found where you can best shine through a need. And that's the part I really like to really hone in on for us as we go out there looking to solve problems. You were experiencing a problem which most people weren't thinking about solving at the time, and you went out there and solved it with a unique way of approaching it. It's not like you invented podcasting, no, but you approached it from a completely different angle. So talk to us a little bit about when you recognize a problem, when you see a need or a missing hole in the marketplace, how do you go about creating a solution or formulating a hypothesis that might actually be something that people would want to consume or purchase?
So I think that's a phenomenal opportunity that exists right now in this world, is to be out there, to have your eyes wide open, to be really experiencing life. And that's exactly what I was doing, Jay. I was a commercial broker. I was driving to different appointments. I was driving to work every day. I was going to the gym and working out. And I was always listening to great podcasts, to great audiobooks. So I was always consuming. And it was giving me these great aha moments. These great light bulbs were turning on left and right. And the one that just really struck that chord, again, was that void that I saw out there, that there wasn't a 7-day-a-week podcast, but I knew that there were people who would love to wake up in the morning and know that there was one waiting for them, a fresh episode just sitting there for their morning workout, for their morning commute, whatever that may be. So for your listeners, eyes wide open, ears wide open, mouth, keep it shut. I mean, you really want to be taking things in and consuming what's out there in the world and seeing what resonates with you and seeing what voids there are, seeing where, the red ocean is, but then seeing where the blue ocean is. For me, the red ocean was that weekly podcast. Everybody was doing it. They were being successful in a lot of areas, but the blue ocean was a 7-day-a-week podcast. And a lot of people said it couldn't be done. When I went to my mentors and they said, John, you can't do a 7-day-a-week podcast. Nobody's going to want to listen to that many podcasts. Nobody's going to want to, you're not going to be able to consume that. You're not going to be able to produce that many podcasts. And to me, Jay, it was almost like, wow, if the experts are saying that, then this is really an opportunity because they're all zigging. I can zag. So, for the listeners, Jay, like, what are people telling you that's not possible? What is resonating with you that people are trying to kind of beat you down with? And maybe that is an exciting opportunity just waiting for you to expose.
Absolutely. I've built my entire business on that very thing because people have said, you can't buy real estate using none of your own money or credit. You can't raise capital. And I try to tell people, I was like, look, guys, I started squatting in bank-owned property with a credit score of 398. Under no circumstances, if you looked at me on paper, should you say, yes, let's do real estate with this guy. However, all of those things are irrelevant when you're actually serving the marketplace, finding those things. Like you said, instead of zigging, go zagging. And that's exactly all we've done is we've continued to zag when people say you can't do this. That you might as well just say that's the same thing as saying, hey, Jay, why don't you try this? Because that's exactly what I'm going to go out there and do. And that's amazing to me that you found a unique, because you carved out a completely unique, you've almost created, I would say, a new category in and of itself. And now, with all of that being said, you've managed to turn that into a business. You've taken something that you're passionate about. And that's what I really appreciate, is because oftentimes people, specifically if they're looking in real estate, they're just going for money. And that's not always what it's about. You've managed to take something you're passionate about and turn that into a business. So share with us, if you will, a little bit about the process of going and actually just developing that own, self-confidence, that idea, that gumption that says, I can do this and people are going to want what I have to offer? How do you go over that hurdle from, well, nobody knows me to, yeah, okay, let's do this. Mm-hmm. How did you make that jump?
Oh, this is just a great segue into my 3 favorite words, Jay. Build an audience. And if you can build an audience as an entrepreneur, the world is literally your oyster. There are a number of ways to build an audience these days. I built my audience through podcasting. I launched my podcast, Jay, with no online presence, with 0 broadcasting experience. And believe me, my first 50 interviews prove that. With no communications, no Twitter account, nothing. I had nothing when I launched. I mean, my careers leading up to it was an officer in the Army, corporate finance and commercial real estate, not exactly the most, cutting edge internet. I wasn't tweeting as a commercial broker. I was selling, large commercial buildings. I mean, that's,
right.
The nature of the business. So it was really a square 1 for me, even like a square 0 for me. And podcasting allowed me to build that audience. Blogging is a way to build an audience. Having a web TV show can build an audience. There's so many different ways this day and age to actually build an audience. And then, Jay, once you have that audience, again, what do? You keep your mouth shut, your eyes open, and your ears open. You listen and you take things in. And my audience was telling me, Jay, exactly what they were struggling with, exactly what they were having obstacles that they were having to face on a daily basis, what their pain points were. And then I was able to create products and services just by listening to them telling me what they need, me creating it, and then turning it and offering it to them at an incredible value. I mean, the podcast itself was free. It was every single day. It was going out there on a consistent level. And so they already knew, liked, and trusted me as a podcast host because they got to know me in a very intimate manner as their podcast host. And so then when they told me what they were having struggles with, and then enough people were telling me the exact same thing, and then I turned around and created a product or a service for that, and then I offered it out to the world, they didn't ask any questions. They just happily purchased. And because of that, Jay, we've built multiple 5-figure a month income streams. Entrepreneur on Fire, the business generates 6 figures a month of profit. And actually in January, we release an income report every single month, Jay, because we really want to be that transparent business that's out there that's showing podcasters, all the successes that we're having so they can emulate those successes. But at the same time, all the failures and mistakes that we're having on a monthly basis so that they can avoid those mistakes. So we really do these in-depth income reports on a monthly basis. And for January, we grossed $158,000. We netted $138,000. So it's a very profit margin heavy business, which is really exciting these days. We run a lean team. We offer products and services. We have sponsors for the podcast. We have 5 major income streams, all of which bring in significant income at a very high profit margin. And that's how we run our business, by listening to the audience that we've created through Entrepreneur on Fire.
Excellent. I love that, because that's one of the most common questions that I get, especially whether it's on stage or someone calls in or what have you, or if they're a coaching client. They ask questions like, well, Jay, how do I build a list of sellers or a list of buyers or a list of investors? And I'm just going to ask the question. So it's kind of loaded question, especially asking you, but do you think it makes sense for the common real estate investor, the person who's looking to build their real estate portfolio or fix and flip, etc., should they start a podcast? Is that a viable way for them to do this?
Absolutely. I think every single person that is running any kind of a business, any kind of an operation that involves growing an audience, reaching a larger demographic, that wants to build authority or credibility in that niche, launch a podcast. I mean, listen to this guy, Jay, that's talking to you right now. I mean, how much do you know, like, and trust him? I mean, he's sharing with you free information. He's bringing on great guests, not myself, not included, Jay.
I would include you.
He's bringing in great guests. He's sharing this stuff for free. He's giving this information for you. Of course, you're going to trust him, and look at the audience that he's building because of it. And for anybody in any niche, they can do the same thing. They can start becoming that authority figure with credibility. And for what we do, Jay, and I mean, something that we're really excited to offer, and it's actually our biggest revenue generator, again, because I listen to my audience, and so many people out there say, you know what? it's time. I want to launch my podcast. So every single week, we hold a free live webinar where we invite anybody that wants to come. And on that live webinar, I share an incredible amount of information and value about podcasting, how it can benefit your business, how you can start in 2014. And then we take people inside a Podcaster's Paradise, which is our community to create, grow, and monetize your podcast. And we have over 100 video tutorials, a community forum, a Facebook group. We have monthly webinars. We do all these different things. And Jay, this is just a great feedback for your listeners, that if you build an audience, you listen to that audience, and then you serve them with this free content via podcast, with these webinars you can host for free where you're sharing with them, you're interacting and answering their questions. We do 92% of our sales for Podcasters Paradise on these live webinars because it's a $997 price point. It's not cheap to join Podcasters Paradise. The value is 100x. I mean, it's unbelievable, the value in there, but people need more for that high level price. You're not going to have that many people that are going to be buying $1 million home without first walking in the front door. You will have some people, but not everybody. Most people won't. And it's the same thing with Podcasters Paradise, and the same thing with any high level product. So if you're out there, you're willing to have a show like yours, Jay, if you're willing to do weekly webinars like we're doing at Entrepreneur on Fire and answer people's questions and interact with them, you will be able to generate some pretty significant income. And Podcasters Paradise in just January generated $92,000 in sales. And it was 92% of that is from the live webinar. And that's where I'm seeing the trend, Jay. Start a podcast, build an audience, listen to that audience, create products and services for that audience, and then have a live webinar and give away a ton of value for free. And then at the end, share what you can give them that's more.
Absolutely. Love it. And the funny thing about that, because this is going to lead up to probably one of the most important questions, is because I think, to some degree, we all instinctively understand we need to have an audience or a list or a following and people who are interested in what we're doing. And we've got, yes, access to things. One of my investors happens to be in Germany. Well, I wouldn't have access to that audience in that German marketplace if it wasn't for leveraging technology and these types of things. And it's been awesome to see that begin to happen. One of the things that you've said, and you've said it a couple of times now, is build an audience. Then you said to listen to them. And one of the things that happened for us is on our Facebook page, we happened to announce that we were going to have a new service, and we had a lot of interaction from those that were on the Facebook page about it. We were like, interesting. So we started going in that direction to the point to where now on CashFlowDiary.tv, what we do is we literally people send in their questions and I answer them live via video. We broadcast, so you get to listen live, and I review your deals live. I tell you how to raise the capital, how to go out there and make that particular deal happen for yourself, whether it be how to negotiate it, how to raise the capital, how to go out there and manage it, how to fix it, all these types of things. And we're doing that live for an hour. And it's been an amazing thing to watch that audience now begin to grow as well. But my question to you is, how does one learn to listen? What am I listening for? If I've never been an entrepreneur, how do I hear what my audience needs so that I know what to do next? Because that sounds like a very important skill set that you managed to pick up somewhere. Now, you knew at some point I was going to stop. And you're like, no, why did you stop it right there? It's all good. Obviously, I'm going to get you right back to that interview. Couple of things that I wanted to make sure. We've been listening to you, right? Many of you, when you fill out the forms or when you send the stuff in, you say, I want help with building cash flow. Maybe you know, maybe you don't, but send in a text message to 949-682-3565. Text the word property. Text the word property to 949-682-3565. And you're going to get a copy of our new ebook that teaches you how to buy and hold, a video that teaches you how to buy and hold using none of your own money or credit, 5 different ways of doing that, a market analysis video, and you will be added to those who are receiving new cash flow. We're helping people build cash flow literally right now. If you want to build your cash flow, you want to get notifications of when we have more properties available, make sure that you send a text message. Text the word property to 949-682-3565. And then one last thing, I know some of you, you're wondering, is it coming? Is it here? Almost. Some of you are like, who is this guy and what is going on and why is he so stinking excited? I want you want to know the answer to some of the questions that are in this interview. You're going to want to pick up my book. 949-682-3565. This time, text the word sample. It's going to get you a sample of the book. Try before you buy. Find out if all of these, podcast episodes have been for real. New book is on the way. You'll have it soon. In fact, you could have a sample copy today. Text the word sample, SAMPLE, 949-682-3565, and follow the prompts. You'll get the samples, and you'll be on your way. Now, let me get you back to the interview.
So it's really powerful, Jay, about building an audience and having a social media platform and having, a way that people can reach out and touch you. Like your website, Jay, is great. People can go there. They can click the contact button. They can get in touch with you. It's the same thing with Entrepreneur on Fire. So what I do is I am there. I am interacting with my Fire Nation, that I call them, when they ping me via Twitter, or they reach out to me with a Facebook message, or they directly email me, which happens every single day. And I pick up on the themes that are coming. And I have in my Gmail, I have nice little folders where they're listed by themes of these different obstacles and challenges that seem to be recurring. And then I just keep dragging the emails into those folders of that specific theme, that challenge that's being faced. And then, when I see ones that are bulging, that are just really outweighing the others, I know that that's something that I need to focus on, that's really a constant and consistent struggle for my listeners, for Fire Nation out there. So, you need to have systems in place where you're tracking the correspondence, when you're tracking when people reach out to you and they're asking you specific things, and then themes are developing. How are you tracking that so you know that when, one obstacle got pinged, 99 times in the last month, and one got pinged, 299 times. Well, obviously that one that was almost 300 probably should have a little more of your focus for the next month or so. And that's how we developed Podcasters Paradise. And that's how we've developed everything that we've done here at Entrepreneur on Fire to generate 6 figures a month.
That's amazing. I love it, because oftentimes when we're out there, we try to guess at what it is that we need to do. But yet, if we would just take the time to ask the marketplace, it will tell us. And it's one of the basic tenets for those of you who were ever considering wholesaling as a strategy. Many of you know that we have some information available there. But in that course, I specifically speak about what you do is you find houses for buyers, not buyers for houses. And that small distinction is very similar to what he's saying right here. You find out what the marketplace wants. Then you give it to them. It's not overly complicated. And I just love the fact that there is no limit to the ways that this information can be applied. And that's the thing that I really want to underscore here, is that you took what you were feeling, because many times we don't elevate our thinking past, I'm frustrated, I wish there was something. You said, no, I'm going to be the solution. And that solution happens to be disguised in something called work. So tell us a little bit about that process of, going and beginning to actually do the work when you realized why the mentors were saying you're trying to produce daily content. What was some of the initial frustrations that made you possibly go, maybe they were right?
So there's, a lot of frustrations. I mean, whenever you're learning something new, I had been consuming podcasts for years, but I had never done anything except press the play button. I had no idea about the consumption side. Again, I had no broadcasting experience, no audio background. So I was literally starting from square one, but I did do a lot of things right, Jay. I reached out, I invested in myself, I got a mentor, I joined a mastermind. Neither were cheap, but both, have delivered 100x in overall value. I went out and I bought tutorials, what was available out there. And I just learned and I taught myself and I educated myself. And it was difficult at times. I mean, I remember one day there's this great website called lynda.com, and they have video tutorials on pretty much any topic. So I knew that I had to learn and become an expert with Adobe Audition, which is a very high end, the Cadillac, of recording audio. And it took me like 12 hours one day of just watching these video tutorials, painfully over and over again, learning this new language. But now, I mean, I am a certified expert in Adobe Audition. I mean, I whip around here, like it's the back of my hands, and I love it. But I had to sacrifice at the beginning, go through the pain and the drudgery of these video tutorials to learn it. And so, we have to make sacrifices in the beginning. There are many times where I was like, I got a mixer that came in the mail, and I'm like, what the heck is this thing? There's like a zillion buttons and sliders on it. It looked like it came from Mars, but, surely I, again, invested in myself. I went on Craigslist. I hired an audio specialist who came over and walked me through everything, set everything up. And, now I have an amazing audio system with, a Heil PR40 microphone and a great boom arm and, plugged into a mixer where I can really adjust all the sound quality. And Jay, it's very obvious with talking to you, with your audio being so phenomenal, that you've invested in yourself as well. And, that's just something that makes your podcast and your content stand out above, because if people say, wow, Jay has this well-produced of a show, he brings on this high quality a guest, he's obviously this high quality of a host, I'm sure what he's talking about, he probably knows about, because, that's the perception, Jay, and perception is reality.
Indeed. We do go through many different learning curves in terms of making sure that our content is the best that we know how to produce. And that's one of the things. If you've ever watched any of our video stuff, that's probably where we excelled the absolute most.
Wow.
Simply because we not only do we can broadcast live, literally remotely from anywhere in the world. All we need is an internet signal. We full 720p HD. Picture in picture. We've got all kinds of neat little gadgets and toys going on there, because we want to make sure that we have the ability to impact the audience and give them every bit, every modality, every bit of information so that they can learn it, they can use it. And that's probably the thing I'm the most passionate about, is making sure that people actually get a result, not that they just get our information, but that they get a result. So I go ahead.
I said powerful.
Thank you. One of the things that you said that I thought was interesting, because I often tell people there are two things you cannot do simultaneously. You cannot learn and look good. So kind of like what you said, your first 50 episodes, they probably weren't so hot.
God, no.
But what I appreciate about that is that you didn't let that stop you. So many people, so many entrepreneurs, so many would-be, let's call them wannapreneurs, would get started, but they're like, oh, I need this, and I need this, and I need this, and I need this. So I'm just kind of curious, where did you find the ability to be willing to not look so good, but get started anyway? Where did that come from?
It really came from day one as an officer in the U.S. Army, Jay. I mean, I went from this 22-year-old kid, who was doing keg stands, I was going to parties, I was waking up at 11 a.m. to boom, flip that switch. All of a sudden, I'm a commissioned officer in the U.S. Army during a time of war, leading a platoon of 16 men in 4 tanks. And wow, did I know nothing. Luckily, I had my sergeants, my NCOs that were in my platoon with years of experience. And so I learned at the beginning to put your pride away, to look foolish in order to survive, literally to learn that learning curve. It's much better to look foolish, trying to become good at something than to have your pride, not allow you to look good. And then when it comes, the bullets are flying, that could cost you your life. And so I realized that on the biggest stage early in life, and I've always applied that going forward.
And you know what I like about that is that all of your past experience, and many times we discount that, our past experience has a lot to do with what we should be doing in the future and what we were literally created to begin to, how we're meant to serve society. And I say this a lot to people, when they ask me what type of real estate they should do. And I'm like, it probably, the clues to what type of real estate you should do are probably in your past. See, I grew up in an apartment building in lower income neighborhoods. Therefore, I do lower income apartment buildings because I understand them. They make sense to me. That's what I do. You might not have grown up that way. But what I like about your background is that I can hear that there are pieces of every bit of it that now play into what you're doing, and you were willing to learn. And I think you used the word new language. You had to learn these new languages time and time and time again. And so now you speak soldier, you speak a little bit of law school, you speak finance, you speak commercial and residential real estate, and now you're learning this complete new language. But the language I think that I would say that you're learning now is the teacher, the instructor, the mentor side of the language as well. And I appreciate the fact that you're willing to throw down the ladder behind, and you didn't just pull up the ladder or rope and let no one else come and follow you as well. So those things are very, very important to me anyway, as you go through this process. So just curious, what do you see as the future for Fire Nation, Eon Fire? What on earth, now that you've created this, where are you going?
My tagline at Entrepreneur on Fire is literally to inspire millions. And Jay, I'm honored to be able to announce that my podcast has been downloaded over 4.3 million times in over 145 countries around the world. We now average over 500,000 unique downloads every single episode. And I'm getting emails every day from remote places around the world, thanking me for providing free, high-value content on such a consistent basis. And that's what I'm looking to do, Jay, is just to continue to expand the brand, continue to reach more people, continue to serve and to add value to others' lives with a free, high-value, consistent podcast. And, things are growing off of that. Obviously, Podcasters Paradise, obviously my sponsorship income, which generates about $40,000 a month and growing as my download numbers grow. All of these things play into it, and it's what we're looking to do as a business. We're not looking to grow our numbers and to hire more people and to, move into a real studio. I mean, I'm sitting here in my living room, with my feet up on my desk, talking to a microphone, looking out my bay window at the Pacific Ocean, and that's how I want to keep it. We want to stay lean, we want to stay mean. Again, our gross revenue was 158, but our net revenue was 138. That's the kind of profit margins we look for here. So we're not looking to get out of control. We're just looking to impact a lot of people in a powerful way, continue to grow organically, continue to grow at a steady pace, and just have fun doing it.
Yep, it sounds like you're doing exactly that, but you're not supposed to tell them the secret that we could do all this from the comfort of our own home. They're supposed to think that we have to get in a traffic and sit in suits and all this other stuff. Now they're just going to go, man, anybody can do this. Well, that's kind of the point.
I remember those days.
Yeah, I try to forget those days. That's the whole, people ask me all the time, like my mom, they're from North Carolina, and Fort Bragg area, of course. They wondered before they came out here. They wondered, why are you in your car all the time? And then they came out here, and then they're like, now I understand why you always call us from the car. Well, yeah, that's because that's where we are until you make that switch, and now you have the ability, like you said, leveraging technology, keeping it lean and mean, and that's one of the things that I love. My entire company is virtual. Very few of us see each other, if ever. Many of us span many different time zones, and it doesn't matter because we can still come together to create positive content. And you're doing the same thing, and you're creating a platform that allows people to launch their passion right out into the world and give them a shot at the, dare I say, the American dream in a way that they may not have considered before. I promise you, I didn't consider it. And then until someone said to me, you should start a podcast. I'm like, why? So let's have that question. What do you think is the major benefit? And I'm going to be a bit more specific. What do you think would be the major benefit to someone who says, I want to start in real estate, or I want to start my business? What is a podcast going to do for me? And what is that major benefit?
45 million people are going to iTunes store on a monthly basis, and they're searching for
say
something.
That again. Say that again.
45 million people.
I want them to hear that number. Go one more time.
45 million people every single month. And this is coming straight from iTunes, who actually called me up to their headquarters back in October to share these numbers with me and to have me broadcast them to the world and to my audience and different shows like yours, Jay. So, these are real numbers. 45 million people are going to the iTunes store on a monthly basis using that search bar and searching for content. there's a lot of people that are typing real estate, buy houses. I mean, they're looking for something. They're looking for courses. They're looking for books. They're looking for podcasts about these topics. And why not have an opportunity to get in front of those millions of people and to be found in those keywords and to build an audience organically? In a podcast, Jay, as you know and I know as hosts, it's an incredible way to build authority, to build credibility, to build an intimate connection with your listeners. You're literally inside their earbuds as they're going for a jog, around the bay. As they're driving to work, you're piping through their car speakers. As they're folding laundry, like you're there with them. It's a very intimate connection. So they begin to know, like, and trust you. And once that happens, then again, you can serve them in many different ways. So podcasting allows you to build a very strong connection with listeners. It allows you to expand your demographic, and it's only getting bigger.
Yeah, and that's what I've been learning, is that people are actually listening, and it's funny that you say that, while they're folding laundry and working out and all those types of things. I think about that every now and again, like, wow, there's going to be some person who I don't know who's going to listen to what I just said there.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure it's good. Hopefully that it sounded okay and all of those things. And that's what started going through my head. And that's why I was like, oh, we've got to invest in this and we've got to do it this way. We've got to make sure that what they hear sounds good, that you don't like hear me chewing or something in the background, because that would just be weird and annoying and all these things. There's just so much to it, but yet it's so much fun.
And that's another point I really want to make, is that, yes, you want to be professional. You don't want to be like chomping on something or, having like phones going off. But, podcasting is fun. I mean, when sometimes, if you make a mistake, if, something happens, like, your baby starts crying in the background, that's okay. That's life. And people will relate to that. And they might even resonate with you more because of it.
In fact, we often leave those things in. So when those things happen, and then that definitely happens when we're broadcasting live on Tuesdays, when we do the live deal reviews. When we do those, it is almost guaranteed at some point you will hear one of my kids say something or scream or yell. There's 4 of them. They're all 3 of them are under 6. It's like, something's going to go down. And you just never know. But it's definitely been fun to create this content and be able to help people in so many ways. I'm just kind of curious. You say you get emails every day. We're starting to get those emails too. What are some of those intangible benefits that you've been able to receive from knowing that you've done this? You've created a platform for business owners to come and share their information. What are some of those intangible benefits that you've been able to experience from becoming this person?
So it's just been like an honor overall to be able to be a leader of a tribe, to be able to really take things that I'm learning from these, 500 plus guests that I've now had on Entrepreneur on Fire, and then to really be calling it down to something that people can use in action items and really go forward with. Again, this knowledge that, it's all about building the audience. It's all about them listening to that audience. And then it's all about serving the audience. I mean, it's 3 simple steps, but nobody seems to get it. Nobody seems to do it. And the few that do are having phenomenal success right now. You, Jay, myself, Pat Flynn, who's somebody in my space that's just doing great things in the world. And it's just really exciting to see people that are starting to kind of see that light, and how Entrepreneur on Fire is helping, literally hundreds of thousands and millions of people, that are getting access to this podcast whenever they are, to listen to one episode, get hooked, go back to the archives, listen to all of them. And then, 1 or 2 of those episodes may strike that perfect chord and may really spark that, that fire that ends up creating something amazing. And that ripple effect is just so powerful. So, that's just some of the benefits. Those are some of the intangibles that I just love about being a podcast host.
Well, you got to admit, though, at least I hear between you and Pat Flynn, you both got some killer dance moves. So that's got to be.
Haven't you seen it? I mean,
those are, that's an also thing you're sharing is, I'm sure there'll be a tutorial or a lesson or a webinar on that soon, too.
No doubt.
So that would be good. Excellent. Let me ask you this before we end. What would you say to that person who's listening, maybe that this is their first episode and they're going, man, I want to create a difference in the world. I want to leverage everything that I know. I want to be able to serve people, maybe using real estate, maybe not, but I want to be able to serve people and create some cash flow to solve my monetary issues. Because I tell everybody, no one on this planet has a money problem. Everyone has an idea problem. And you manage to take your idea and solve your money problem if you had one, right? So my question would be, what would you say to inspire that would-be entrepreneur right now to get up and to do it no matter what they're feeling?
Read these two books, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson and The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Those two books will literally show you that doing the small things today will add up to huge things in the end. Because Jay, that's what scares so many people from starting. They're like, well, I do want to start and do something, but I got to wait till I have time, or I have to, that's such a big challenge to take on, to turn my life around, to invest in myself, that, I'll do it someday. And that day just never comes. But if you read those two books, again, The Slight Edge and The Compound Effect, you'll see that just doing small things now, today, just starting, doing something tiny will have such a ripple effect in your life and such an impact down the road. So I say, listen, just start. Those are the two words I want to leave with you. Just start. Wake up 15 minutes earlier, go to bed 15 minutes later, and just start doing something that inspires you, that you're passionate about. In those 30 minutes a day, Jay, compounded with the slight edge effect happening over 6 months, will blow you away at how far you've come. And then at that point, you may be ready to take that full leap.
Indeed. Agreed 100%. All right. Now that we've taken this time, we've given you the information that you need to know so that you can go out and get started. How do we catch up with you in the future?
Well, Jay, I do a live free webinar every single week about podcasting at podcastersparadise.com. We have a lot of fun there. I answer everybody's questions. I say hi, we interact. I say, hey, it's Jay from Mission Viejo. What's up, my man? But also, Jay, eofire.com is where all the magic happens. So come check us out.
Absolutely. Hopefully, those of you listening, if this is your first time or 101st time, you are going to do what we always talk about, move at the speed of instruction. You've been given the information you need, and maybe that small step, that slight edge, that little bit that's going to begin your compound effect starts with the small step that you take right now. However, you don't take the step, that also starts a slight edge and compound effect in the opposite direction. So go straight over to E on Fire. Go straight over to Podcasters Paradise, because you don't know where that next inspiration is going to come from, but you could be that next inspiration for many people, and you are one relationship away, one decision away from changing everything that you currently call your reality. And what you must do right now is move at the speed of instruction. I am glad that you've taken the time to listen one more time, and we will talk to you again. Until next time.
Thank you for investing your time with Jay Massey and the Cash Flow Diary. When you have a moment, please visit iTunes and leave a positive comment about the show. And go now to our website, CashFlowDiary.com, to take advantage of our free business building course, Cash Flow Foundation. Gain the knowledge, understanding, and skill that will teach you how to never need a job again. Until next time.